Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now on with the show.
Welcome to 221B Baker Street by way of the South Gate Bridge. I am Sherlock Holmes. This is my colleague, Dr. Watson. Actually, I am your host, Zachary Hare. And while she is not Watson, she is the Watson to my Holmes, Kristen Deere.
Hey.
Tonight, we'll be talking about...
T-bone in the eyes.
See, you had to kill... I was about to say... She's so excited about this episode. Just by the title. That's right. Tonight we're talking about Jake and the Fat Man. Wait, that's the wrong show. T-Bone and the Iceman, that's it. Tonight we're talking about McMillan and West. No, that's not right. I'm running out. I can't think of any other shows that have the word "and" in it. Starsky and Hutch. There we go. We're talking about Starsky.
There we go. Starsky and Hutch.
Okay, so tonight we start right off the episode with a spoiled rich girl getting killed. I'm liking it already.
Well, actually, it starts off with Sherlock being super annoying.
Oh yeah, I think it was a little, even for him, was.
Yeah, and Joan, like, you know, she should really be careful what she wishes for. Throwing out the scarf, no power.
I know it's a early on nitpick, but I'm pretty sure Sherlock's better at respecting personal property than that, or am I completely wrong?
I don't know. Well, he does say at the end, I mean, it's kind of bookended by crowbar. We use the crowbar in my family. He thinks that this is right for Watson, and he makes every excuse for why it's right that he threw out the scarf. So it kind of begins and ends with that scarf, you know, throwing out the scarf being a good thing. So it is kind of odd, though.
Indeed. So there's apparently Sherlock is trying to make his own version of a xenon arc lamp. And
Yeah.
I've looked the thing up. The thing looks like a sonic screwdriver.
And of course, it didn't work at all.
Of course. And then I don't know. I mean, I'm a sci-fi geek, but I'm not a science geek, so I have no idea what the heck he's talking about. I've looked it up, but I still don't understand it.
Well, I'm a science geek too. I love reading all kinds of science stuff, but I actually didn't know what this was either, because I don't know. I guess I haven't read that kind of science.
Okay, so after that, we find out Watson's being a mother, and after that, we get the spoiled rich girl that gets killed. So yay!
That's what happens when you text and drive. You get your head caved in.
No, she wasn't texting. I think she was. Wait, was she texting? Was she checking the GPS or?
Well, she was checking GPS, but she was also, you know, it's the same kind of thing.
And then she goes to check on him and gets her head bashed in, and apparently sprayed with certain kinds of gas.
Yes.
Okay, and then we get Holmes and Watson show up, and I love Bell and Holmes right here.
Yes, there were a couple of Bell and Holmes moments. I always love a good Bell and Holmes moment.
Indeed. So Bell just, I could always, I always wanted to hear Bell go, "Guess why I called you?" And he's like, "Come on, guess, come on."
Yeah.
And then Holmes lifts up the thing. "Told you should have guessed."
But Sherlock was already so bored by the case, just the whole idea, and then the look on his face. Oh, you could have just told us. I think Bell really enjoyed that.
Mm.
He really enjoyed tricking Sherlock.
Yeah, yes. So they're looking at the thing. They they both deduce that eventually that they both deduce that it was refrigeration because Watson says she's seen it before, and Holmes just goes, "I just knew."
Yeah, he just knows. And that poor M.E. man, he's completely useless with them around. Poor guy. He's always feeling so unneeded.
Yeah. So of course we get the little. I mean, the first scene was Watson and her mother in the room, and weird thing I've realized is that Watson's mother is Mary, which is the name of John Watson's wife in the books. I don't know if that's on purpose, but who knows?
And as Sherlock says, she's one small vegetarian.
Yes. And she thinks that Watson's brother is cheating on his wife. And in true Tiger Mom passing the buck fashion, she wants Watson to check into it.
And the second this scene comes on, I get immediately bored. She's like, "Oh, your brother's cheating on what?" I was so bored with it. I wasn't as bored with what happens later. So it led to some good scenes, but this particular scene was like really boring.
Yes. And what they find out that it's actually a specific kind of refrigeration, which is kind of interesting. And that
Yeah.
because of course, that such things, certain practices are bad for the environment, that less and less people use that specific one. But there's also a good black market for it, which is again now a little thing I put here. Apparently, and it's just a little thing I noticed. Apparently, Bell and Holmes put their coats on in sync now. They're so in tune with each other.
Yeah.
I know it's a weird thing to
Yeah,
notice, but I
that was
swear to God, if you look
another
at the
next
scene, they
moment.
put their coats on the exact same time. Now, my guess is it's probably it's probably literally because the director was like, "And action, okay, putting on the coats," you know?
Well, I thought it was a cute. It was like a cute
Oh
moment
yeah, completely.
with another nice Bell and Holmes moment, but it was cute.
Yes, and
Yeah.
yes, it's,
Oh, and we also learned that thefts of this stuff are prevalent also.
I like how Belle's like, "Hey, this place is probably gonna smell. You want to come?" So, Watson and Holmes go and investigate where they go to the ice rink, and they talk to the man, found out that some of his containers were stolen, and Holmes immediately notices that the method used to get into the door, the office, or the closet, whatever you want to say, would not have worked, so it must be a inside job.
Right.
I love how,
And
yeah.
also, right before that, we have Sherlock telling Watson that he thinks it would be nice to be able to rid yourself of family
Right.
completely. Maybe that's a little kind of having to do with Mycroft partly.
Also, and his father.
Yeah.
So we also, so then right after that, I like how Holmes is like, yes, it's a very good use of a button key, except this specific clock wouldn't work with a button key. And you can see the guy just going, oh.
Yeah. The look on the guy's face. He's like, oh,
It's just,
they got me.
it's like you stole it. He's like, I can almost see the guy going, what? But yeah, he admits to selling it second. He gives them a description of the van and everything, and he's even got an address. So they go to the address, and Holmes hears a baby crying, so he picks the lock.
Yeah. I like how Joan is like super careful here, but Sherlock, I thought it was kind of weird. He wants to go alone in the super creepy old warehouse.
Yes, and so he eventually, of course, does pick the lock, and we see what looks like a serial killer storage space.
Yeah. It was nice to see Sherlock very
Yeah.
surprised.
It's like, I am not,
You never see him
yeah, he's like, I'm
surprised.
not easily surprised, but I was not expecting this. So,
Well, nobody
yeah,
was.
so
It was surprising, a surprising moment
mm.
there.
So we find out that these bodies are all connected to a cryo lab. And I just want to say, if any of you are thinking of actually trying this, you're an idiot.
You're you're a dead nutter.
Yeah, exactly, dead. I know it's like obviously not important to talk about. It's like there are actually people out there who believe this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like they've watched too many cartoons. Just freezing the body does not preserve you to be brought back to life.
Yeah. And and the way it's all just kind of it's such a shoddy little business they have going here, just rotating them to a meat locker and keeping the temperature below quote industry
That he
standard,
himself
which
said.
they created.
Yeah, and the thing about this kind of business is think of it. Let's say, for argument's sake, that whatever you died of can be reversed or whatever. What's the guarantee that people will still be in business?
Yeah, that too. I mean, there's that, and there's also who. I mean, what kind of shape would you really be in after you've been preserved for so long? I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of nasty. It's just
I
so
love how
gross.
there's an entire family in there.
Oh God, I know. Ugh. It's disgusting. And I like how I like the way Joan put it. You just put them on ice and hope for the best. That's basically
And
what
I
it
love
is.
he's essentially like a snake oil salesman. Like, oh, we are
Yeah.
exploring all options. Now, it's interesting because it's an interesting appearance. It's Margolis, who is many people, he's definitely one of those, hey, it's that guy. He's a very good character actor.
Yeah.
And he's playing the slime ball quite good here.
Yes.
It's just,
But not the murderer.
no, not the murder. It's like we inject them with. I love. Okay, and then he used the end all be all sci-fi term. Any geek knows this. We are waiting for nanites to be developed.
Yes.
Really, nanites? Why don't you just say the anti-life equation? Go all out. Say you're giving these souls to Lady Death to appease her and find the Infinity Gauntlet. That would have been more logical than saying the nanites. And
Yes.
I'm curious, when we develop nanites, is there going to be a reverse death button?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have to. I think it's a little more complicated than just having little robots.
But haven't you seen sci-fi? They can do anything. Did you see Big Hero 6?
Yeah, that's why it's sci-fi fiction.
Aha!
I mean, it's great to see it on sci-fi because that's the whole thing. It's an escape from reality entirely.
I just love how they're like, just Holmes, Watson, and Bell's like, yeah, but you're not doing what you said. You're not even scamming your customers with the scam that you're scamming them with.
Yeah, I know. It's just so it's so ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. I mean, sending them to a meat locker, that's just
I like how Holmes completely calls about it. He's like, the temperature wasn't what you say. He's like, oh, it's in the right parameters.
Yeah, that we created.
Right. I like how when he realizes they're really there about a murder, he's like, oh yeah, well, not us, robbery.
It's what's funny about this? He's talking he's talking as if he's speaking to one of his clients who are just completely just must be morons.
Yeah.
But he's talking to Sherlock. He has no idea that Sherlock is nothing like a moron.
Right. You only see Holmes is enjoying himself just because. Well, he does. We know Holmes loves calling guys like this on their bull.
Well, I mean, he was almost laughing the look on his face, that was
I think
priceless.
Belle had that a little bit too.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, but Joan just looked pissed the whole
she's a
way
medical
through.
person, so she probably doesn't like the
Yeah.
misuse of people like that.
Right.
And then they go, of course, to talk to the workers about the robbery and like what got stolen. And I love how it's like, oh, a body was stolen. Oh, we thought it would turn up. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, and the way he says we thought it would turn up because this happens sometimes. Oh yeah, this happens all the time. We lose bodies.
oh, he's just such a sleaze.
Please, bucket.
Did you just use the Hot Pocket jingle to say sleaze bucket?
No, I was just
It
saying.
sounded like you went, sleaze bucket.
I guess I did, but it was just.
It was
I wasn't using any
What do you
jingle.
gotta pick? Sleaze bucket. Sleaze in the morning, sleaze in the evening, sleaze at supper time. When sleaze is in a bucket, you can have sleaze bucket anytime.
Oh no.
Da 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 da,
Oh,
sleaze
that's bad.
bucket. I feel like sleazing tonight. Sleazing.
Oh man.
Oh, we could.
You have to stop
Okay.
now.
Fine. Inject a little comedy into the proceedings. But yeah, so.
But this is the point where it actually starts to get really
Yes.
interesting. It becomes a really good mystery at this point. And it's a really odd one.
Because they're trying to figure out why someone would take the body.
Right. And the sketch artist, the image from the sketch artist, it's like so it's so weird, and you're like, what does this have to, there's so many little pieces, and it's like, how does all this fit together? And I absolutely did not get it.
Oh yeah, I barely got it when I did the rewatch.
Yeah.
But that's how it should be. This is a Sherlock Holmes show.
Yes, this was a good
Yes.
one. But actually, this is another one. I mean, either they do the all-out great mystery or all-out great character development. And there wasn't really much character development in this one at all. It was all about the mystery.
Which is good.
Yes, it's nice to have those every now and then, because usually this show usually goes for the character.
By the way, something we
development.
forgot to mention. Can I get the name of the van dealership Cryo New York uses? Because apparently you can buy a new van in half a day and have it all ready.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out now they're going, of course, looking through the body, because one of the victims was strangled, and there was a psychiatrist and trying to figure out why it must be the killer of this man who robbed the place and killed the girl.
Right, because maybe he left something behind, and since he's being stored this way, maybe, he wants to steal the body to keep anyone from finding whatever evidence he might have left behind.
Yes, and apparently, and then they look at one of the witness to the original murder.
Mr.
Yes.
Ford.
And I knew something was up when I saw the Manos of Fate poster on the wall, because you know it's that kind of movie.
Yeah, and then he's got the limp. There's all kinds of, and then the sketch, the description of the guy he supposedly saw. Everything about it is shady.
And the fact it's played by an actor who almost always plays a creep.
Yeah, and then he's dying, so it's like all this stuff. How does all this fit together?
Well, I like how he says, if I had done the crime, I would confess, because I don't have long left anyways.
Right. And he's like pretty much incapable of killing the girl. So it's, it's just strange, like how your brain starts working, and it's like, what? how on earth are they going to fit all this together? That doesn't make any sense.
I do like how the guy's like, good, finally someone asked me directly.
Yeah.
And so they talk to him to get his description, and Holmes realizes later on, after they leave, that his description of the man and the events are exactly the same, which really, linguistically, is impossible.
Right. I mean, it's like he's working off a script that he created.
So they're talking more. Of course, Watson by this point has called her brother, and she doesn't believe that her brother is cheating.
Right. Well, also he's really upset that she even brought it up. And although I really don't like phone acting, hearing the hearing him yell over the phone, it always sounds fake.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So she believes him, and Holmes is now, but then they start to realize about her mother's memory problems. Yes,
Yeah.
because she's forgetting stuff, and she even called Holmes twice when they were in London, both times, to ask about where he was. And Watson, being a medical professor, of course, says it's probably not dementia or Alzheimer's, but they still want to look into it.
Yeah, and I think it's really realistic the way they did this, because that's usually how it goes. The person who's forgetful doesn't think that they're forgetful, and they get just upset. They get angry that anyone is, pushing for them to go get help.
Like when when Holmes is asking Watson, like, your father can't change her mind. He's like, one time he got her to have mozzarella breadsticks with the pizza. I believe we had just watched an new episode of MASH.
Yeah.
So they keep looking with that in mind. They keep looking into the case, and they can't figure it out because, like, what is the answer? But they get a call from Bell. It turns out the man is dead and killed.
Yeah, so obviously there is another killer out there.
Indeed. And so the strangulation is pretty similar. Slight differences and Holmes still think there might be a second killer because of how the second crime scene was tidy and the first one was a mess.
Right. And then also we have the guy knocked out at Cryo NYC.
And he gives a description.
And
it happens to be our mysterious man in the hat. In my opinion, kind of looks like Alan Quartermain, but
yeah. And yeah, and it was behind. They said they heard something behind the tank Sullivan had been in.
I love
right?
that. I heard something behind the thing. Oh, really, Scooby-Doo?
Yeah. I heard. Yeah, I thought it sounded familiar. It does sound like a Scooby-Doo thing.
Yeah, and then when we heard the noise, Freddy said to split up.
That's perfect. Perfect analogy.
And though they look and they realize, well, like, this must be a real killer. This must be the guy. I mean, they've got two different independent explanations, but Holmes then examines the body, and there's strange bruising on the feet.
Yes. And we know all of this is sounding really fake. The description of this weird guy that nobody else seems to see anywhere. And everything is so fishy, but none of it fits together. And then when he sees the bruising on the feet and he seems to know exactly what's going on, it's like, what? What is it? And then it's the commercial. Yep. It's like,
so Holmes theorizes that the Van committed the original murder, and then someone else killed him. So they looked into it, and they found out. And by the way, great work on the detectives from the first case, that Van and the original victim are cousins.
Yeah.
I know he said he had changed names, but that's still a heck of a thing to miss. Turns out he was a bone marrow match for him, but the cousin didn't want to pay the piper, as it were, so he killed him.
And then so it was a whole different reason for stealing the body. It wasn't to hide evidence. It was because of the bone marrow.
Yes, he believed in cryo stuff, so his tissues and stuff would have been preserved.
Right.
And so I love Gregson during this whole scene. He's just like, oh
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm sure that's the case. And
Oh,
no, go ahead.
sorry. There was a point earlier also where Sherlock and Joan were talking about family stuff again, and I just wanted to mention because Sherlock seems so bored, and then when he receives that text, it was just kind of funny the way he changes the subject real fast. Saved by the text.
Yes.
Okay,
So
sorry.
we also I just love how they're talking about the case and they're like Holmes says, I believe this man is a fabrication by the employees that helped him. And then Watson goes, wait, I know this man and I know he's connected to the case. And Gregson's like, did your partner not just clear it up that he doesn't exist?
Yeah, yeah.
And here's another great place to go to commercial lunch. She's like, I know him and I think he can help us.
Yes. And man, and and it's still like, again, like, how did these pieces fit together? But it was hilarious, actually. This was a
Yes.
funny one.
So it turns out we get the scene where the employee's like, "Yep, that's him. That's the man. 100% sure." And he's like, "Really? Yep. You don't want to change it? Nope, it's definitely him." All right, you did it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy that played Torgo in Manos: Hands of Fate.
And he's dead.
Died very young, actually. I looked it up. He was only 25. I'm sure some of the writers must have been a fan of Manos just to mention that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so funny, that this whole cheesy MST3K
Yeah,
movie,
and what I like
And
when Watson says it was one of the worst movies of all time, so of course it has a cult following.
yeah. And her brother got a kick out of it, bringing up Oren again. That's
Right.
pretty good. He's a
And
movie
so it
nerd.
turns out the whole thing of the case is when he found out he was dying of well he went to his cousin who said no, so he killed him. But then they got the body, but then when they had to kill the girl, his compatriots were afraid he'd have a crisis of conscience. Really doesn't make any sense. The guy killed his own cousin. I think he'd be fine with the girl, but so they killed him. Although what they were gonna do with what they had, who knows? But so they kill him, and so Watson and the guy's like, "You got nothing on me." But of course, Watson says, "Well, we're gonna offer this deal to both when we explain about the movie to both you and your partner. So why don't we see who makes the deal?"
And we never find out which of them actually committed the two murders, or maybe they both, they each committed
Right.
one.
Right. And yes, and so this case wraps up pretty nicely. Okay. Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention earlier. I love how Holmes comments on how the guy's telling him, like, being honest about everything at the last minute because he hopes it will prevent a fraud charge.
Yeah.
And all because of some bruised feet. Because the killer changed his shoes.
Yeah, that I was not I did not get that. I did not figure that one
Right.
out. That was a good one. I like when I'm baffled.
And so that pretty much wraps up the case. And then we go back with Watson home, then eventually her mother. Emily Holmes stepped in and tricked the mother into thinking that she forgot Watson's birthday, which got her to agree to get checked out. I love how,
And that she never got the scarf that he threw
right,
away.
and then I love how Watson's like saying that's a really like weird way to like show or to be a friend or whatever.
Yeah, but I like the whole the analogy, crowbar. We use a crowbar in my
Right.
family. And so, I mean, I don't like the lie, but it's efficient.
Yes.
It's
And then
quite
Holmes
efficient.
gets that great line to her, says, "You have a family larger than you ever thought."
Yeah.
And that pretty much wraps up the episode. So, what did thouest thinkest?
I loved it. I like having a good murder mystery every now and then, you know. I mean, usually they don't do the even when they do the a good mystery, I think this is one of the better mysteries
Mm.
they've done. I liked it. It was weird. All the little sci-fi references. I mean, I'm a huge sci-fi fan, even of not usually super bad sci-fi. I do like some bad sci-fi though, but I like the whole idea of having the bad sci-fi references, and I just like all the little details. And I also like that there was a little bit of character stuff there. I didn't like the beginning of the whole the first scenes with the mom, but then how Sherlock helps Joan at the end. The way the way they get there that's pretty good. And yeah, I liked it. I don't know about the rewatch value though.
Yes, I see.
Usually the more character driven episodes have more rewatch value. This one didn't really have that, but it was really good just as a one watch standalone
Mm.
episode.
So before we get to my final thoughts and all the extra good stuff we now will hear for everyone's favorite part of the show, where I talk or don't talk for a good extended period of time. That's right, it's time for Kristen's Clue Cap.
So this week's case is the murder of a spoiled texting and driving rich girl, and later Vance Ford. So the first clue was the paint and height of impact on the girl's car show that she hit a white van, and then the next one was that her body was freezing via a special refrigeration substance, and then a suspicious white van was spotted near an ice rink from where some of the substance had been stolen. And then picking on the lock at the ice rink indicates that the theft was an inside job, but the man who stole it then sold it off to a guy who had originally given him an address. He didn't go there, but he had the address. And then that address leads to a warehouse that contains frozen bodies linked to Cryo, New York. And so, and then one of the bodies was stolen from Cryo, New York, and it was for Sullivan, who was their only client who was also a murder victim. Okay, and so then the next clue is the witness, Ford, the witness in the original murder, gave info to a sketch artist, but his testimony and his sketch are fishy because his story sounds as if it's from a script, and the sketch is of a striking figure in a hat who was never spotted by anyone else. Okay, and so then the next clue is then Ford is murdered, and the crime scene at his murder is spotless, but the scene of Sullivan's murder was messy, so indicating that maybe they were different killers. And then a footprint had been left behind at Sullivan's. Okay, and so then the next clue was that a technician at Cryo, New York is knocked out near Sullivan's tank, and he and the other tech with him give the same description Ford had given of the guy, of the culprit. Okay, and so then the next clue, Ford has unusual bruises on his feet, and from this, Sherlock deduces that Ford had put on Sullivan's size 9 shoes each time he met with the police, even though he was a size 11. And then the next clue is that they also find that Sullivan and Ford were cousins, and Sullivan had refused to give Ford a bone marrow transplant for his illness. And so, then they figured that he killed him because he hadn't given him the transplant. And then Watson remembers the fake description Ford had given, and it's of a character from a movie for which Ford had posters in his apartment. And so they use that photo of the actual actor from that movie to prove that the two technicians were in on it, and one or both of them murdered the girl and Ford to keep him quiet about the murder of the girl. And we never know, we never find out which one. So supposedly, hopefully they find out and the right guy goes to jail. So, but at least Ford, the guy who murdered Sullivan, is already dead. Okay, so that's it for the clue cap.
Alrighty, that was nice. I took a nice nap during that. Now.
Hey.
What? That's what everyone does. Nay! No.
That's so mean.
I am tough because I care. You won't learn any other way.
Learn what?
I don't.
What are you trying to say here?
I don't know, but I'm sure there's a lesson somewhere. And once you learn it, you'll know. Okay, we got my favorite line. When Sherlock says, former lover, it wouldn't be the strangest. Okay, I'd like to remind everyone, if you want to get in touch with us, it's bakerstreetpodcast@gmail.com, Baker Street Pod on Twitter, and of course, find us Baker Street Pod on Facebook. So as for my thoughts, I agree. The clues were very good. Not much character development, but they always do one or the other. And it was very confusing, which is good for a Sherlock Holmes episode. And I agree. Good episode, not really high rewatch value, but definitely a good one for the season. So I overall give it a good rating. So have we touched upon everything we were going to touch upon, would you say?
Yes, I believe so.
Tune in next week, and we're going to do the whole podcast just with these voices.
Actually, it's not for a couple of weeks.
Okay, then we'll do normal voices.
April. The next one is in April 2nd.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate all your feedback. Don't forget to check out some of the other great shows we have as part of the Southgate Media Group. But for now, it is time to depart, for the game is afoot.